Oh boy, we got a mess in the Ukraine. If you thought they were going insane in the Ukraine before, wait till you get a load of Vladimir Putin's latest moves. First of all, my God, he's got the Russian Air Force in Ukrainian airspace. Oh, that's not good. He went and took he took 4 Russian Navy ships and surrounded 2 Ukrainian ships, including an anti-submarine warship and a command ship, Slavutich, and he ordered the crew to surrender within the hour, otherwise they would be boarded. Man, he's coming. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. We've got 6,000 troops that are ready to go, and hostilities have begun in that sense. I mean, in terms of the actual gunfire, I don't know how close. I don't know if we're minutes away, hours away, days away. It's not clear. But the troop movement is as significant as I have ever seen. The Associated Press says senior Obama administration officials said they believe Russia now has a complete operational control over Crimea and has more than 6,000 forces in the region. Okay. Now, obviously, they're not going to go for all the Ukraine, but they say that Crimea is theirs. Not a good beginning, okay? Back in the 1950s, Khrushchev had said that Crimea was part of the Ukraine when it was all controlled by the Soviet Union anyway. Now, Putin has different ideas on who controls Crimea. And, of course, they've got a big naval base there, and they're planning to take that back. Now, Ukraine's current prime minister on this issue says, quote, "We are on the brink of disaster," okay? And then Secretary of State John Kerry steps in and says world leaders are, quote, "prepared to go to the hilt in order to isolate Russia with respect to this invasion." Okay? So, oh boy, this is as big a diplomatic mess as we have seen in a long, long time. What in the world can they do about it? Well, let's go to a list of possibilities for what Americans and the Western countries can do to discourage Russia from invading. Well, you could do economic sanctions and visa bans. That's pretty normal stuff. It would be significant because we're reluctant to do that with a country the size of Russia. Freezing Russian assets, that would be very significant. Trade and investment penalties, they could be booted out of the Group of 8. Again, that would be a very drastic action, but so is an invasion of Ukraine. And we could bolster missile defense systems in Poland and the Czech Republic. That's largely irrelevant, but military-industrial complex, and hence the Republicans would love that move. But the other moves are significant and could be coming, according to John Kerry, our Secretary of State, who's saying that, hey, you better watch yourself. We are not kidding around about this, and there will be severe consequences. But then he also said this.
We're now discussing all of the options. This is an act of aggression that is completely trumped up in terms of its pretext. It's really 19th century behavior in the 21st century. I think there's a unified view by all of the foreign ministers I talked with yesterday, all of the G8 and more, that they're simply going to isolate Russia, that they're not going to engage with Russia in a normal business as usual manner. You know, the reason for this, David, is because you just don't invade another country on phony pretext in order to assert your interests.
Oh, no, I can't believe he said that. Oh, come on, dude. After what we did in Iraq, and by the way, what Secretary Kerry, who at the time was Senator Kerry, voted for. He voted for the invasion of Iraq. If you remember in 2004, that was a huge issue when he was running against George Bush. The Republicans said, oh, you were for the war before you were against it, which is true, okay? For now, the United States of America to come back around and say, invading a country based on false pretenses, tut-tut-tut, how dare you, Russia? But look, it's not just irony, and it's just not just a funny, ridiculous moment of hypocrisy there. This is the chickens coming home to roost. This is exactly what we warned you about on the Young Turks from before the invasion. We said on this show over and over again, if you do it, you're going to set a precedent that allows other countries to do it. So that today, the Washington Post writes an editorial about, well, everybody's pushing us around, and now Russia thinks they can go into Georgia, and then they can go into Ukraine, and there'll be no consequences, and that China can push around the Philippines and antagonize Japan and think that they can take, whether in the case of China, airspace, or in the case of Russia, actual land on the ground, and go into sovereign countries and just take things from them. I can't believe. Well, but we told you they were going to do that, because once we said we could do it, of course they were going to go ahead and do it whenever they had the opportunity, and this is their opportunity. So, you could blame President Obama for however he reacted. I think that's a minor issue here. But the real blame goes to George W. Bush, who set the precedent in the first place. It's a precedent he should have never set. The United States of America going and doing an invasion of a country that did not attack us opened up Pandora's box that now allows Russia, China, and whichever other country to say, hey, you guys didn't, so can we. And when you criticize us for it, you look like ridiculous hypocrites.